20 minutes of education.
You're already waiting for the moment when science will make a single pill for everything, and people, like in the Sims game, will have all their status and mood bars instantly green. Although we're not at the stage of development yet, science has already achieved some sensational things regarding the human body. And the first super convenient and progressive invention is the smart skin patch. Just a patch that monitors all body indicators, constantly. Background health monitoring, for which you don't need to go anywhere, you don't need tests, you don't need to overcome the fear of needles. By the way, Harvard Medical School has found that statistically, about 25% of people in the world are afraid of needles and all medical procedures involving them. This is called trypanophobia, and about 16% of people on the planet are so afraid that it becomes a reason not to get vaccinated. So such a smart patch already solves the problem of health monitoring for a quarter of the world's population that has this phobia. Also, these patches will solve the problem for a huge number of people due to financial accessibility. Because currently medicine is relatively expensive, and many people don't check their health because they are actually afraid to see an unpleasantly painful bill at the end of this checkup. And when they haven't been checked for a very long time, they fear learning about the 150th stage of some disease, the treatment of which cost 150 trillion money. Everyone who has work insurance or any other insurance just felt their privilege, right? But for many who don't have this bonus, controlling their health becomes really stressful, and buying a patch and checking yourself with it sounds achievable and not so scary. It will be like buying a COVID test, flu test, or pregnancy test. Currently, there is no single patch that monitors everything. They are divided into categories. The first are those that monitor the heart, such as heart rate, electrocardiogram, and heart rate variability. For example, Zio patch by iRhythm, a disposable sticky patch that continuously records a patient's heart rhythm for 14 days. How does it work? It tracks electrical signals from the heart and sends data to a mobile app or healthcare provider. It is usually used for people who experience irregular heartbeat or unexplained symptoms like dizziness and fainting. And this analysis helps doctors diagnose many different diseases. The next category of patches monitors glucose levels. These patches continuously track blood sugar levels, which is critical for people with diabetes. Example, Freestyle Libre system, a patch widely used for continuous glucose monitoring. It measures glucose in interstitial fluid and sends the data to a smartphone or receiver. By the way, I have a separate episode about glucose spikes, and believe me, they greatly affect your quality of life every day. I recommend watching it. It has scientific tips on how to reduce the spikes and thereby reduce the risk of diabetes or insulin resistance, which by the way many people have without knowing. So get informed on this topic. The video is short, easy, and can significantly improve quality of life. Another category of smart patches is those that check sweat composition and hydration levels. Just to clarify, from Greek hydro, water. Hydration means the body's water saturation, maintaining water-salt balance. This is mostly for athletes because in real time, based on data from this patch, recommendations are given regarding electrolyte and fluid intake during training. This optimizes performance and prevents health damage. Very interesting in my opinion are patches for monitoring skin and wounds. They track the healing process of wounds or surgical areas, notifying patients or medical staff of potential issues like infection or abnormal healing. Moleculite IX. In general, smart patches are an incredible breakthrough for people with chronic diseases, because the likelihood of actively monitoring a person's condition and timely medical intervention is much higher. They are comfortable as they are small and sticky and easy to use on your own and wear under clothing. And most importantly, it's proactive, because by providing real-time feedback and early detection of problems, you can prevent many serious diseases. As for cons, battery life and insufficient privacy. The battery life of some smart patches is calculated for a few days or weeks, which can be limited compared to other portable devices. Also, these patches do not guarantee privacy, because with the continuous data collection, there is a problem of how personal health information is stored and transmitted, especially when provided to third parties or cloud servers. So the technology is great, but still needs optimization. Moving on to the invention that directly solves the phobia of many people: going to the dentist. Why treat teeth if you can just grow new ones? This is what they are working on in Japan, and they have already achieved success. We want to do something to help those who suffer from missing or lost teeth, said the Katsu Takahashi, head of the Dental Institute of Medical Research at Kitano Hospital in Osaka. This development is the result of many years of research on a specific antibody called uterine sensitization associated gene 1, or USAG1, which has been shown to inhibit tooth growth in ferrets and mice. Unlike reptiles and fish, which usually regularly replace their teeth, it is generally accepted that humans and most other mammals grow only 2 sets of teeth. But under our gums lie dormant third-generation buds. His team began clinical trials at Kyoto University Hospital, administering the experimental drug to adult subjects, which according to them may accelerate the growth of these hidden teeth. This technology is absolutely new to the world, said Takahashi. Tests on mice and ferrets show that blocking a protein called USAG1 can awaken a third set of teeth, and researchers have published lab photos of regrown teeth in animals. In a study published last year, the team said their antibody treatment in mice is effective for tooth regeneration and could be a breakthrough in treating dental anomalies in humans. Takahashi confidently claims that the placement of a new tooth in the mouth can be controlled, if not precisely by the site of drug administration. And if it grows in the wrong place, it can be moved through orthodontics or transplantation, he said. The drug could potentially solve the problem of children with congenital conditions preventing tooth growth. But for now, they are testing the safety of the drug, not just its effectiveness. So participants are healthy adults who have lost at least one existing tooth. Professor from Hong Kong says that Takahashi's method is innovative and has potential. And professor from London says that the race for human tooth regeneration is not a short sprint, but more like a series of consecutive ultramarathons, one after another. The Japanese researchers themselves want to make it available by 230. Very promising. About another sensational invention that may be able to precisely treat cancer in the near future, I talk about in a video on Patreon. Thanks to everyone who supports the channel there. The link is in the description below. And the third absolutely shocking invention is spare organs. And you don't need to go to the black market for this, because there are 3D printed organs. 3D printed organs are created from a patient's stem cells through a process called cellular differentiation. These cells are assigned very specific tasks in the body. And there is already a case of a functioning printed organ. Scientists, for the first time in the world, printed and successfully transplanted a trachea. This happened at St. Mary's Hospital in Seoul, South Korea, in 2023. The patient was a 50-year-old woman who lost a part of her trachea after thyroid cancer surgery. Printing the trachea on a 3D printer took less than 2 weeks, and the transplantation surgery lasted half a day. This precedent combined 20 years of research with the first lab studies dating back to 2004. During this time, leading researchers collected laboratory data, including animal testing. And if 3D bioprinting were widely available, then theoretically access to these in-demand organs would be a matter of hours, days, or a few weeks, compared to the current reality, where people spend years waiting. Also, since 3D printed organs are made from the patient's own DNA, theoretically, the immune system is more likely to recognize the 3D printed organ as its own rather than a foreign object, and this would result in significantly fewer cases of organ rejection. But what about the cost? The average cost of a kidney transplant, one of the most common procedures, is about $400,000. For surgeries requiring longer hospital stays like heart transplants, the fee jumps to over $1.5 million. Meanwhile, bioprinters used to create printed organs and live human tissues are commercially available for only $25,000. This also solves the ethical problem, namely testing drugs, therapies, and procedures on animals. They test on animals because human and animal DNA is very similar. But why torture animals when you can print a human tissue sample and test products for safety and efficiency? on it. This is what the cosmetic conglomerate L'Oreal did with the bioprinting startup Organovo in 2015 in San Diego. They printed skin samples on a 3D printer to test their products. The company has been growing dermis since the 1980s, producing 100,000 skin samples in a year, and claims on its website that it has completely stopped testing on animals. Sounds super progressive and ethical. But of course, this technology has many cons and risks, namely cell damage during production. Cells undergo significant stress during the 3D printing process, from high-pressure environments to nutrient shortages. Keeping live cells alive becomes even more complicated when creating larger structures like an organ. After all, feeding a living organ requires a lot of resources, and the current problem is connecting many organs to sufficient blood supply, similar to what exists in our bodies. Because when blood supply is insufficient, cells die. Also, such printed organs currently have a shelf life because they're made of cartilage, mucosa, and polycaprolactone material, which biodegrades. So the trachea transplanted to the patient in 2023 will last only 5 years. But scientists hope that during this time, the artificial organ will help the patient's body regenerate its own trachea. Yes, our body can regenerate some organs. So this is technically a complex and very sophisticated system. At a minimum, it can heal itself, and at maximum, design and implement a project called New Human, which also comes with self-healing abilities. Wow. But in reality, all these technical difficulties are small obstacles for scientists on the way to a much bigger goal, saving hundreds of thousands of people, because many patients die before they get an organ transplant. And a new organ made from the patient's own cells would change the game. Actually, it's already changing it. What do you think about these inventions? Which one do you have the highest hopes for? Write in the comments. If you found this interesting, please like and subscribe. See you!